ready? No. All right. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Dhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radhu Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Janamadava Yiri Vadarahuti Gopi Janamadava Yiri Vadarahuti Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Banachare Yamuna Tera Banachare Jayo Radho Madhuva Kunya Bihari Joy Radho Madhuva Kunya Bihari Gopi Janabalaba Irivalathaguti Gopi Nana Malava Kirivalathaguti Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Vanachare Yamuna Tera Vanachare Jaya Radhu Madhuva Kunya Bihari Joyrad Umadhuba Kunyabihati Rava Kunyabihati Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parvatikacharya also Teta Satishi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanada Bhakta Vedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Friends say Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwai Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuranam Ki Jai Jagadada Swami Ki Jai Munamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Budale Shrimati Bhakti. So today is a very special day in the Vaishnava calendar. It's Vamanadeva, which means the Dwadashi, of course, is the day after Ekadashi, the 12th day of the moon. And in Vamanadeva, not only did Lord Vamanadeva appear on this particular day, but we also have this great Vaishnava, who is the greatest scholar of all time, Srila Jiva Goswami, who appeared on this particular day. So we are going to start with talking about Lord Vamanadeva and his appearance. Just a summary, and then we'll go on to Jiva Goswami. Hopefully we'll have time. So, of course, this story starts, Omagana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmiritam Gena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. So this story starts with Prahlad Maharaj. It's interesting. Why does it start with Prahlad Maharaj? Because Prahlad Maharaj was blessed by Lord Nrsingadev, and Prahlad Maharaj got married. That may surprise all of you. Why didn't he take sannyas? Well, the reason he got married is because someone who was a grahasta, or whether sannyasi, kiva vipra, kiva nyasi, shudra, kena noi, ye Krishna, tattva veta, say guru hoy. Doesn't really matter. And many of our acharyas were grahastas. And so Prahlad Maharaj is one of the Mahajanas. Definitely an acharya. One of the Dwadasha Mahajanas, 12 great Mahajanas. So he had a son named Virochana. And Virochana had a son named Bali. So, and the interesting thing about being one of the descendants of Prahlad Maharaj is you don't get killed by Vishnu. Of course, you still leave the body after some time. So Bali Maharaj, because Prahlad Maharaj was in the demon family, so naturally, he tried to make his family Krishna conscious, even though he was in a demon family. He didn't reject his family. And so Prahlad Maharaj's descendant, Bali Maharaj, was in charge of the demons. And being in charge of the demons, and he wasn't a demon in this essential sense. He was actually a devotee. But still, he did his duty. His duty was to conquer over the demigods. I've often talked about this, that, why are there demons? Why does Krishna allow demons? In the 8th canto, we find that Lord Brahma stops the killing of the demons because he wants, there has to be some demons in the universe. The balance that keeps the demigods Krishna conscious. So, Bali Maharaj was fighting with the demigods, and he got killed. And then what happened is his Guru Maharaj, Shukracharya, knew the Mrityu Sanjivana mantra, which was able to bring someone back from dead, as long as the body was intact. That's the interesting thing about the Ramayana, that the demons were not able to be brought back to life when Ram was fighting them in Lanka. Because what the demons did, they didn't want to, at least Ravan didn't want to discourage his demon friends and have all sorts of dead bodies around, so he had them thrown all in the ocean. So they weren't around when the Mrityu Sanjivani, the Sanjivani that was taken by the mountain, from the mountains, by Hanuman came. So that's why the demons didn't get revived. Anyway, so Shukracharya revived Bali Maharaj, and he performed a big yajna for Bali Maharaj, so Bali Maharaj would become much more powerful. And there were horses that came from the yajna, a chariot, invincible chariot, bows, arrows, armor, and even Prahlad Maharaj, it's interesting, gave him a victory garland. So you see, even Prahlad Maharaj is faithful to his family. It's actually quite interesting. This is the Bhagavatam. I'm not making this up. Prahlad Maharaj wished him victory over the demigods. And also because Prahlad Maharaj wanted to see the Lord appear, he knew the Lord was going to appear. But I found that quite interesting, isn't it? That here's this Mahajan saying to the head of the demons, his grandson, you should have victory over the demigods. So he became victorious because he had Prahlad Maharaj's blessings, took over heaven, started to perform all these horse sacrifices, like 100 horse sacrifices to guarantee that he could remain in the position of Indra. And then Indra's mother, Aditi, she becomes really upset. Previously she used to brag, my son, the Indra. And people are proud of their mothers, or their sons. So she went to her husband, Kashyapa. And you see, Kashyapa is always approached by his wives, whether they're heads of demons, demon mothers or devotee mothers, and he gives in to them. So he goes to Kashyapa and she says, we have to do something about this. And Kashyapa says, here's some devotional service and a particular austerity called the Payovrata. Payovrata means basically surviving by just drinking milk. It's like a fast, but you just take milk. And as she was performing this, she performed it perfectly. Eventually, Lord Vishnu appeared with 4 arms in front of her and said, you should worship your husband, because within your husband, the seminal particle of your husband, Kashyapa, I reside. And so she began to worship her husband. And then the plenary portion, and it's interesting, we hear this expression all the time, plenary portion. Plenary means on the plane. Basically, what it means is that the plenary portion is Vishnu Tattva, non-different Advaita Chuta, Nadivananta Rupa Madhyam Purana Purisham Navyoganam Cha. He's on the same plane as Vishnu, but he doesn't, Krishna, but he doesn't manifest all the qualities of Krishna. Only Krishna manifests 64 qualities, at least those 4 qualities at the end. So So anyway, the plenary portion of Kashyap is transferred into Aditi's womb, and Lord Brahma comes and he prays to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's within the womb. And then on Shravana Dwarasi, which is today, the Supreme Lord appeared. It's also called the Vijay Dwarasi. Means the victorious Dwarasi. The Supreme Lord appeared first with 4 arms. And then he changed himself into his dwarf form. And the demigods came, Brahaspati came, and awarded him, right after birth, a sacred thread. And the demigods offered different things like the umbrella, everything that little Brahman would have. So then he sort of turned up his illumination, his brilliance. He exhibited his Brahman effulgence and went to the sacrifice where Bali Maharaj was doing the horse sacrifices. And when Bali Maharaj saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, particularly with his effulgence, Bali received him because in those days there was culture. If a Brahmin came to your house, you would wash their feet and you would offer them whatever they want. And you actually see this in the case of Lord Nityananda and Hriday Pandit. Sannyasi came to his house and said, I want your son. And then naturally he gave him his son, and then Hriday Pandit suffered in separation after that. And so it's interesting, when Prabhupada, before Prabhupada came to the Western world, he asked people, you have so many sons, right? Just give me one of them. Nobody did that. You see how the culture has changed. So Bali asked Lord Vamanadeva, what do you want? I'll give you anything you want. I'll give you land, a wife, a village, anything you want. And then before Lord Vamana replied, he glorified Bali Maharaj's ancestors and even glorified Hiranyakashipu. Because Hiranyakashipu, first of all, was a devotee, and Hiranyaksha. And secondly, they exhibited very heroic qualities. So he was glorifying them for those qualities. It's interesting how actually he was glorifying them. And, of course, then he glorified his, the grandfather of Bali Maharaj, which is Prahlad Maharaj. And then Lord Vamanadeva, so this is the etiquette too, you know, when you approach, you glorify someone, and then he asked for 3 steps of land. Bali Maharaj replied, you are not at all intelligent. You could have anything you want. Can you imagine if the Lord came to us? Of course, you know, obviously, Bali's not the Lord, but Bali had the whole universe. Or let's say someone who has the whole universe. Okay, let's say, not even the whole universe, let's say the head of some big company. I don't want to say Elon Musk. Anyway, definitely didn't want to say that. Bill Gates. Yeah, billionaire comes and he says, for Krishna Maharaj, anything you want. And I just say, just give me one computer. He would say, you're pretty stupid. So in the same way, Lord Vamana said, I just want 3 steps of land. And Bali said, you are not intelligent. You can have anything. And Lord Vamana preached to him at that time, and this is very important for us to understand, that if you're not satisfied, basically with what you have, but he mentioned there, 3 steps of land, then you will not be satisfied with anything. You will not be satisfied with the whole universe. And of course, we find in the Bhagavad Gita, Apritam Jnanam Etena, Jnanino Nichavairana Kama Rupena Kontya Dushparena Analena Cha. If one is not satisfied with what they have and they want more, then they'll want more and more and more because your desires will burn like fire. And so we should be satisfied. Krishna's giving us whatever. I mean, like I was talking to some people the other day about building a house. And I said, you can build a very simple house. No, we want to spend $500,000 or $600,000 on a house. And I said, you don't need to spend that, but we want to keep up with the Joneses, with the Patels, or with whatever. So anyway, getting back to the point, Lord Vamanadeva said, basically, I'll be satisfied. And Bali took out his water pot, and that's how you signified you were giving someone's charity. Shukracharya said to Bali Maharaj, stop. He is Vishnu. He will take away everything. And the point is, whether you give everything to Vishnu or you don't give everything to Vishnu, he'll take away everything. It doesn't really matter. So you can do it voluntarily, like Prabhupada was talk about how you can serve Krishna voluntarily or involuntarily. Involuntarily means you serve him through his material energy. So, Shukracharya said, no, Vishnu, he will take away everything. And Shukracharya said, charity is not good if it endangers your life or your welfare. And it's okay to lie. He gives these different ways it's okay to lie. Now, this is not what we believe, so don't find fault in me. He said it's okay if you're flattering a woman, if you're joking. Joking's all right. Marriage, don't try that at home. Earning money, Prabhupada did say that. Prabhupada said, it's okay to say what? For you, there's no profit. Or protecting life, I agree with that. Cows and Brahmins, some of these things are true. So Bali Maharaj disagreed. He said the earth cannot bear the weight of a sinful liar. And Shukracharya, at that particular juncture, cursed him. You shall be bereft of all of your opulence. And so Bali Maharaj went ahead and he started to offer water to Lord Vamanadeva. And Shukracharya thought, I got one more chance to stop this mess. So he made himself really, really, really tiny. And in that water spout, the spout of the water pot, he blocked it. Just like in plumbing sometimes, there's a block and you got to take a roto-rooter to unblock it. And so he blocked it. And so Lord Vamana, he just took some kusha grass and he put it in the spout and he took out the eye of Shukracharya. So from that point forward, Shukracharya was blind in one eye. And he became angrier and angrier at Lord Vishnu. It's described that Shukracharya actually took birth in Jagannath Puri. And he was the one who came up with this bogus mantra, and he offended Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I forget his name right now, in Jagannath Puri. So then Lord Vamana accepted the 3 steps of land. He increased his size to the size of the universe. First step was the earth. Second step was the whole universe, kicking a hole in the universe. And, Ganges came in. And Lord Brahma worshipped the Ganges when the Ganges came in. And Jambavan was around at that time. And he was Chiranjiva. So he circumambulated the whole universe. In the Ramayana, it's described that when there was some discussion as to who could jump over the ocean to reach Lanka, Jambavan said, well, in the beginning, I was powerful enough to circumambulate the whole universe, but now, I can't do it anymore. He wasn't a bear. Prabhupada said Jambavan was not a bear. He was the king of the bears. Very strong. So then the followers of Bali Maharaj got really angry. They tried to kill Lord Vamana. And some of them were killed, and Bali said, stop it, I made a promise, and I have to keep my promise. And Garuda came and tied Bali Maharaj up with the ropes of Varuna. And Lord Vamana said, you are a cheater. You promised me 3 steps, and Bali said, take your 3rd step on my head. And Prahlad Maharaj was there at that particular time. And actually he became pushed down into Sutala by Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. And Lord Brahma came and said to the Lord, he's been punished enough. No more punishment. Sufficient. So even he's giving advice to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Vishnu praised Bali for this, and Bali was blessed at that particular juncture. In the future, he'd become Indra, and before that, he would be in Sutala, and Lord Vishnu would guard the door. And Brihad Bhagavatamrita, when Bali Maharaj's praise, or Prahlad Maharaj's praise, he says that, Lord, you may say that Lord Vishnu was the guard of Bali Maharaj, but Lord Vishnu is there just to make sure Bali Maharaj doesn't get out. It's like a prison. So, eventually you will become Indra, and you will experience no more illusion, and then the demigods retook heaven, and Vamana, who remains there, being worshipped by Indra. And he's considered the younger brother of Indra. Indra, he had a very, very familial, intimate relationship. What? Upendra, yeah, therefore he's called Upendra. Actually, it means little Indra, or Indra's little brother. Sometimes you call someone's brother, little whatever. Anyway, so that's the story of Lord Vamana. Does anyone have any questions before we go to Jiva Goswami? We have 15 more minutes for Jiva Goswami. And here's the story of Jiva Goswami. So, hopefully we'll get time to talk about everything I want to talk about with Jiva Goswami. So, of course, Jiva Goswami is the nephew of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. And he did have darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was a baby. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Ramakeli, where Rupa and Sanatan were, and Anupama, his father, then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually picked up little Jiva Goswami. Of course, he wasn't Jiva Goswami then. And Jiva Goswami got the darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's described that he had golden complexion. Sometimes people wonder, what is golden complexion? Actually, I experienced that when I was with Prabhupada. Prabhupada had golden complexion. The first time I met Prabhupada was in Gainesville, 1971. I had the opportunity to go into Prabhupada's room for darshan, and he was just dressed in a gamcha, which was above his knees, and he was glowing gold, molten gold. Molten gold is not like, reflective like this, but that was Prabhupada's color. So Srila Jiva Goswami had a golden complexion. It's described his eyes were like the expanded petals of a lotus. No, those are the signs of a great personality. Every part of his body had a radiant splendor on it. So, let's see. he had darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he got the dust of Lord Chaitanya's feet on his head. And Lord Chaitanya at that time said, he is going to be the future preceptor of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. He actually predicted that. And after that time, Srila Jiva Goswami kept the form of the Lord in his heart. And as he grew up, while eating, sleeping, or doing anything, or dreaming, he would always meditate on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's form. So his father and his uncles, Rupa, Sanatana, and Anupama, they left home, and he was left with his mother, and he was always worshiping Radha and Krishna deities. He dreamt of dancing with Gaurnitai, but he was feeling great separation from his father and his uncles. So after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this world, he went to Navadvip, because Lord Nityananda was still in the world, and he met Lord Nityananda at Srivas Thakur's house, and he was fed the next day by Sachi Mata and taken on a tour of Navadvip, the Navadvip Mandal Parikrama, by Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda knew what the mission of Jiva Goswami was going to be, so he sent Jiva Goswami to Kashi to study with Madhusudana Vachaspati, who was a disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Then when he became fully educated in Sanskrit, grammar, and all the different items of Vedic understanding, he was sent to Vrindavan to be with Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So when he got to Vrindavan, and he was basically adopted by Rupa Goswami, who later on became his spiritual master, and he was given Rupa Goswami's, he was given the deities that later on he would worship and establish in the Radha Damodar temple by Rupa Goswami. And these deities of Radha Damodar, according to the history that I read, were fashioned by Rupa Goswami. He fashioned these particular deities, and he served Rupa Goswami in a very menial way by, first of all, being his editor in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and other literatures. And he served Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and accepted initiation from Rupa Goswami. And there's an interesting story about Rupa acting as his guru and actually chastising him one particular time. Because he was so educated, he could defeat, Jiva Goswami could defeat anyone. So there's this famous story about this conquering Pandit named Rupa Narayan. Rupa Narayan came to Vrindavan, and he wanted to defeat everybody and get what's called a Jaya Patra, certificate of victory. And so he went to Rupa and Sanatana and basically challenged them. And they didn't want to waste time with this guy. He said, okay, we'll sign. You win. They signed this Jaya Patra. And so then he went to Jiva Goswami and showed them the Jaya Patra, and Jiva Goswami became incensed, angry, and said, you should challenge me. And for 7 days, he argued with this particular individual, Rupa Narayan, and after 7 days, Rupa Narayan was defeated and left Vrindavan, not to be seen again. And so Jiva Goswami goes to Rupa Goswami, and says, I've defeated him. And Rupa Goswami says, you took sannyas too early. You have too much pride. So you don't belong in Vrindavan anymore. And that's interesting too, because to actually enter into Vrindavan is not simply, getting on a plane or taking a taxi to Vrindavan. One actually has to have the right mentality, humility, and be ready to serve all the residents of Vrindavan. So, So then the story goes, at least one version of the story, is that he was living in Mathura in the hollow of a tree, and when Sanatana Goswami heard this, he went to Rupa Goswami. Sanatana Goswami was the elder brother of Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami accepted him as a Shiksha Guru, because they were initiated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Sanatana Goswami said to Rupa Goswami, "You've forgotten one of our master's primary teachings." We talk about the primary teaching of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva, and Jiva Doi means compassionate jivas. And Rupa Goswami laughed when he heard this, and he brought Srila Jiva Goswami back. And sometimes people criticize Jiva Goswami for just teaching his disciples what's called swakiya rather than parakiya. What that means is he taught that Radha and Krishna are married. And parakiya means Radha and Krishna are not married, and there's, Abhimanyu, is the so-called husband of Srimati Radharani, and there's all these different pastimes. So why did he do that? Why did he just teach generally? I mean, he did accept parakiya. Obviously, if you read the Gopal Champa, you see that he accepts parakiya. But because his disciples were not mature enough. Many of them, I can't say most of them, but many of them were not mature enough. And this is actually a really important lesson for us. Many of us think that we're so mature, we can hear about, Radharani, all these details about Srimati Radharani and intimate pastimes, because I've been in the movement 30, 40, whatever years. But even you have Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates who had been in the movement probably a lot longer than us. But, it's not the years. And he only talked about these intimate pastimes with like 3.5 associates, isn't it? So you had to be on the level of Ramananda Roy, Sikhi Mahiti's sister, Swarup Damodar Goswami. So here we are talking about these intimate things. I mean, oh my God. And even if we are, which I doubt, ready, I mean, it's just, anyway, I mean, just personally, it makes me a little uncomfortable, these public discussions about, I mean, it's like if you're talking about, for example, oh my God, no, it's not time yet. If you're talking about, for example, let's say you have a friend who's married, and, he shares, maybe not super intimate details, but, how he and his wife have talk to each other in this way and that way. And then you get up in class and talk about it. Would that be appropriate? No. I have a friend, so-and-so, he and his wife, they hold hands and they tell each other no, it's not appropriate. So, anyway, it makes me a little uneasy to hear about these things publicly. So, anyway, so that's why he concentrated on teaching more or less about swakiya, married relationship. He also was responsible for helping to build so many temples in Vrindavan. How? The Emperor Akbar, who was actually very liberal, he was a Mughal emperor, came to Vrindavan, and he gave Akbar a vision in Nidhiban. Nidhiban means the temple where Radha and Krishna are sleeping. It's a beautiful temple. There's actually a bed there at the far end of the Van. It's a forest, actually, forest. And so Akbar helped construct many, many temples, including Rupa Goswami's temple, the Radha Govinda temple. Later on, he made Akbar promise never to hunt in Braj. And he also became Jiva Goswami became the instructing guru of Srinivasacharya, Narottam-Das Thakur, and Shaimananda, and sent them on the first traveling Sankirtan party to Bengal with the books. Another story is that one time he went to Agra, there was a debate, which river is more glorious, the Jamuna or the Ganges. And the Yamuna won because she's the consort of Krishna. And so anyway, so his temple was the Radha Damodara temple he established, and that's where the Goswamis would meet regularly and talk about Krishna Katha philosophy, and that's Prabhupada's eternal abode, the Radha Damodara temple. And a very, very important temple. And of course you have Rupa Goswami's Bhajan Kutir, and also his samadhi there in the Radha Damodara temple. And Prabhupada gave many, many classes there that have been recorded on the nectar of devotion at the Radha Damodara temple, and everybody should listen to them. So, also, he composed many literatures, of course. The Shastandarbhas are the most important literatures. And apart from that, he composed a literature on Sanskrit grammar called the Harinamamrita Yakarana. I have a list here, but there's not enough time to read everything. There's Gopa Virudhavali, Sri Madhava Mahotsava, of course, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Tika, the commentary on the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Gopal Champu. Anyway, there's a whole list. We don't have time, and I wanted to talk about the Shastandarbhas, but we don't have time for that. So, thank you very much. All glories to Srila Jiva Goswami. All
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Ago Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham
Adi Purusha Tamam Bhajami. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste. Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gormani Macha, Nege Nivesesha, Shunyavadi, Sachade Zatarane. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Vrinda Chaitanya Dvaita Adasivasadi Gaurature Shri Krishna Nirana Pramanityananda Dvaita Adasivasadi Gaurature Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanityananda Dvaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaurakurinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Go Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Looking na na na, looking na na na, hey. Looking na na na, looking na na na, hey. Hey. Hare Rane, Nayate. Nayate, Rane, Nayane, Nayate. Jai Om. Namacharya.
There's Harinam tomorrow, 5 to 7 in Chapel Hill in front of the post office on Franklin Street. It's going to be a nice afternoon, so please come. Lots of students are there, and it's a Friday evening, so there'll be a lot of folks out on the street. Tomorrow afternoon, 5 to 7 in Chapel Hill. Chaito Darpanam Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kayavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam. Very nice. Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudan Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amita Smarane Nakala Etadrishi Tavakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nahanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Tad Bhaktira Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Namrajamevam Buddha Kripayata Vabata Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashim Vachintaya Nayanam Gadadashu Daraya Varanaga Karnishitam Babukada Tavanamagrahani Vishyati Yugayatam Nimishena Chakshusha Vavishayatam Shunayatam Gat Sarvam Govinda Grahena Me Ashlishava Padam Nastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatatava Vidadatulamto Mat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which all anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.